Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Wednesday the 24th of July 2024. This is episode 320. Damon, how are we doing?
Yes, we're good. You're good. You're full of pep and vim with the well, I'm not going to spill the beans. I'll let you do that if you'd like. You don't have to. We can leave them in limbo. Who cares? But yes, today's a good day for...
I'm pregnant!
Congratulations!
I'm pregnant.
See, all those years you were doing it wrong, right? You know, if you just stuck with you delivering, it would be fun. No, that's not it, silly goose. What is it? Come on, give us the news.
I was, well, you've mentioned that, teaching, I have to teach my students about sex education as part of the curriculum, and I'm very sort of strict on that. Like, I'm only going to cover what is exactly in the syllabus because this stuff terrifies me. But one of the lessons was about sort of different methods of conception. Like, there's other ways of getting a baby, and you're just supposed to sort of touch on them. And IVF was one of them. It was mentioned in the lesson plan. So I mentioned that, and I also thought, bring a bit of personal touch to it. I was like, Esther was actually conceived via IVF as well. And then some of them had questions about that, and follow up and asking about how it's done. Is it painful? And I was like, well, yeah, it can be quite painful for the woman because she has to go through a lot of procedures like injections and stuff to stimulate the egg growth, and then the egg retrieval procedure can be quite painful, and then obviously the embryo's got to be implanted, so the woman has to go through quite a lot. And then this kid was like, well, how do they get the sperm from the man? And I was like, it was like, is that painful for the man? I was like, no, it's not painful. And it's like, well, how do they do it then? I was like, we'll find out when you're older.
Let me take you to the back closet, Johnny, and give you a hands-on. No, that's terrible. I mean, the worst. I'm kidding, of course. Preposterous. It would never happen. Yeah, I can't imagine, like, the eggshells, you know what I mean, that you have to walk on when it comes to that. Like, that's just...
Yes, I had to wank into a cup.
I prefer this type of pornography. Literally, seconds ago, we were like...
They had quite a good range of pornography at the fertility clinic.
Right. All kinds of media to consume. I immersed myself in pornography. We sat here and said, oh, we got a busy show. We're just going to jump right into it. This will start. Listen, we've tried.
I wasn't here. I swear. I wasn't. We weren't intending to talk about porn and wanking, but it just happened.
It just happens. It's like
it's in our nature.
Yes, it is. That's exactly what we're saying. It's like it's going. We're swimming against the tide when we try that. It's impossible. We will never make it to our destination. Let us go. Let us get it out of our system, and then we'll get into the meat and the potatoes. All right. But yes, that's crazy. I would never be able to do that. Never in a million years. Because I wouldn't know. Look, again, you're a professional, and I'm sure there are lines that have to be straddled many fucking times on a myriad of different topics. Because again, these are kids. These are fucking kids. Oh boy, do you sweat that like the night before? Like the night before, are you like, this might be the last one, dear?
Right. I've got a system.
Okay.
My system is there's an anonymous question box. So if you've got any questions, then write them down on a piece of paper and put them in the box. And then I can vet the questions and throw away all the ones I don't want to answer. That would make me uncomfortable.
That's pretty good, actually. It's pretty good. Hey, speaking of penises, I'll give you just a real quick story. So I'm out somewhere, and saw somebody that I kind of recognized, but I wasn't sure. But then that person came up to me, which is always, me panicking at that point. Like I'm thinking of different names. No, I'm not. I'm Larry. My name's Clarence. Anywho, he worked at the same place I used to work at, like my very first like real job in the 90s, right? And we're talking about some of the people that maybe he recognized, and the one name was the guy that I reported to, and he ran the whole system. He I don't think he reports to, but I know there's a relationship there. I mentioned that he's like, I can text him right now. I was like, holy shit, yes. So he texts, I'm here with McDonald. The guy writes back. This story goes back so far, dude. And it is an HR nightmare. I like looking back, I'm just a maniac. But in college and in school and all that stuff, guys can be dumb and stupid. And when we bust each other's balls, a lot of it has to do with penises and, and the old gag of, I'm going to draw a penis on your notebook. Well, you remember those old school dot matrix printers? It would be like 9 sheets of paper to create a banner of happy birthday, right?
Yeah, and when it was printing, it sounds like the world's ending.
Correct. It's like, yeah. So we did that, and it was a penis, obviously, and we taped it to the back of his car, right? So then we drive away. It would be like, honk if you like cock or whatever. So anywho, this happens maybe about like 4 weeks later, a month, maybe a little bit more. I get asked to come into the office, and HR is there, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, look, do you? I know you and this guy. We'll just call him. We'll call him Mike. So you talk to Mike a lot. And I was like, yeah. I mean, yeah. And can you describe some of those conversations? I'm like, well, I don't know. Really, I can. But, we kind of just go back and forth with dumb jokes back and forth. And give me an example. I'm like, you really want an example? Yes. All right. Well, I'll be like, your mom's a whore. And he'll be like, well, I banged her last night. Just that kind of dumb, sophomore, stupid humor, right? So then I give another example. Maybe he takes out the drawer, opens up, unfurls this 6-page print, right? Do you remember this? And I just started fucking laughing. I just was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, that was a joke. And they're like, well, he's suing us. I'm like, I didn't.
What?
Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute. What do you mean? Like I said, if I saved everything that he gave me, there'd be a notebook full of shit. But I didn't think it was a big deal. Yeah, it was an actual big deal. It was a big deal. So the guy texts me back. Have you put any cocks on any cars lately? This is 30 years later. That was his response back. Have you put any cocks on cars lately? Sometimes you just get a reputation.
What, so someone put in a complaint because you printed out penis on a dot matrix?
He did. He sued for sexual harassment.
That's mental.
That's. I mean, look.
I define the suing for sexual harassment, but that being the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right. Well, listen, it was
6-page dot matrix penis thinking, well, this is too far.
Well, not for nothing. It kind of was. It was 6 fucking pages long. Like, stretch your arms as far as they can go, and then double that. Taped to the back of his car. As he's driving home, getting many honks, getting many beeps, getting everything. It could have gone as horribly as you would expect it. But yeah, I mean, he sued for sexual harassment, and truth be told, he won. Wow. He won. I don't know if he settled out of court. I don't actually. You know what? I don't know if that's actually the case. If he did win, but I absolutely know there was a suit because I had a deposition I had to give. I had to tell my story in front of fucking lawyers and shit. Yeah. The joys of being dumb and young. So good. Costing companies thousands of, probably more than that. Just me being silly.
Well, that is a story I bet you weren't expecting to be telling when we did record.
Certainly not. But yes, I learned from that. I learned from that sometimes, Joel, jokes and tomfoolery, it's actually, it's hurtful. And sometimes it goes astray. And yes, I learned my lesson from that. No more cock printouts. Thank you. I don't know if you heard, Tommy. I don't shine shoes anymore. Well, I'm just busting your balls. Get him a drink. Oh, in the house. No, on me. I'm doing Goodfellas, by the way. All right. Okay.
Well, good shot. What'd you
Thanks. Yeah, right. That is great. What are you doing? What do you want from me? Good shot. Okay, Spider. What do we got?
Fucking Grade 1 Climax, Damon.
Yes.
Oh, no, there's a bit of news first before we go into the Grade 1 Climax,
Okay.
which I'm excited about talking about. El Desperado is taking leave of absence from New Japan to undergo meniscus surgery. So he announced on Monday that he would be undergoing surgery to repair a medial meniscus injury that had affected him for the past 6 months. So he felt that between his match with Chris Brooks and DDT on Sunday and the G1 Climax tournament starting, now was the best time to take time off and focus on regaining the junior heavyweight title. So that, I think, puts a lot of sense into a few sort of head-scratching booking decisions regarding the junior title, where looking at it through the lens of, what are they doing to Despi? How come they keep taking the title off of him? And now, in retrospect, it could very well be that he didn't want it.
Right.
Maybe they were begging him, please, can we put it back on you? And he's like, fine, I'll have it for this New Japan Soul Tour, but then afterwards I'm dropping it again and I'm getting some surgery.
Yeah.
So does that kind of change your outlook on the hot shotting of the junior title?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it definitely puts it in a different light and a different perspective, that's for sure. And it wouldn't shock me for him to say, hey, you know what? I'll do this. Can we drop it to this guy? Because I want to, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a conversation as well. And again, the company could have been like, fuck that. We're not doing, no, I don't want to give it to him. But obviously that's not the case. They think highly of him and enough to give him the belt. So yeah. And again, this is the time to do it, right? This would be perfect time to do that. I hear that, and the severity of an injury like that. And again, these are pro wrestlers, so throw all caution to the wind when it comes to rehabilitation time and how long it's going to take from the heel and get better and all that. But when I hear that stuff like that, it's like, oh, is he going to be ready for the Dome? That's we're more than halfway through the year, that's for sure. So yeah, I wonder out loud if the Dome is still a possibility. Probably. I mean, like I said, pro wrestlers are maniacs when it comes to get me back in the ring, and the way that the business is designed. I understand that. But yeah, it came as a little bit of shock, but it did help fit some of the puzzle pieces together. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just my headcanon. I've got no insight here, but he strikes me as the sort of person that I think he would have been campaigning for Show to have that title and then Doggy to be having that title. I don't think he's the sort of person who would necessarily want to have a huge dominant ace-like reign himself. So yeah, hope the surgery goes well and the recovery is all good and then he can make it back in time. And that's El Desperado. Let's talk about the fucking G1.
Yes.
Damon, I feel we've got that aura back.
Yeah.
That we are watching the 20 hottest wrestlers in the company battle it out. Is it feeling the same for you? Are you feeling like we're kind of back?
Yeah, I really do. And, I was thinking about this earlier today with myself, actually, in the sense of, like, I don't know if necessarily we've had that, oh, guys, everyone's got to fucking find a way to watch this match. We've had really good matches. I don't think there might be a handful that I was like less than, like, I'm kind of like, oh, okay. But I think overall, look, G1 does put a little magic on everything in the sense of everything matters. And when you turn on a pro wrestling show and every match from top to bottom, and it's not all the time. We had, night 3 had, some tag matches thrown in there. the majority of the matches, we'll call it, feel super important. And you know what? And even if you don't want to slog through the tag matches, they usually are there to help you get ready for the next night, because they'll be in singles competition. It feels good. It really feels good. And you're right. I feel that they might not be the 20 best wrestlers in the world, but, you go up and down the blocks. There's really not a dog in there. And I don't know, it's exciting. It's unpredictable to a large degree. To the tune of, I think I'm in like 300th place in the pick'ems. I love it. I say it all the time. I love being wrong. I love not having a clue. I love just being in that moment of, okay, rooting for an underdog. And, it just feels right. And yeah, you're right. Like this G1, I don't want to say it's like a gigantic reset button, but it does feel like I can get behind and really sink my teeth into the direction they're going. Like, I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, very much so. I think this is not the tournament for people to dig their heels in with old takes or parroting other people's takes. And this very much happens on our Discord as well, where after like 2 nights, people are falling over themselves to right, this guy's washed, this guy's a fraud, this guy's, he's beaten all the allegations, and this guy's the future of the company. Like, we've all got to relax. And I know that's part of the fun, but I feel this is a really special moment with the company where the landscape of New Japan Pro Wrestling is shifting dramatically before our very eyes. Yeah. And over the next few weeks, people are redefining themselves and their futures and sowing the seeds for the future direction of the company. This is the make or break time. So this is not about us saying after night 3, right, this is our conclusive takes, this guy is trash, or this guy's going to main event Wrestle Kingdom for decades. It's exciting seeing everything in flux and being uncertain. If you ask me now who's going to win the G1, I have no fucking idea. And that's great.
Yeah.
And, guys who I think are underperforming now, by the end of it, might have really turned it around, because that's just how unstable everything feels at the moment, in a good way.
Absolutely. Yeah, unstable in a good way is absolutely how I feel about it. And I will also say, and I'll emphasize this point, for the first time in what feels like eternity, not internally, eternity. The guys, the wrestlers themselves, the guys themselves. It felt like for at least a year, we can call it 2, we can call it even longer. If you want to go 4, I wouldn't argue that the wrestlers themselves tried everything they could and in every fashion they could to get themselves over. And I'm not going to say without the support of the company, but if the company doesn't have a solid foundation and a solid direction, it's hard for individuals to feel A, appreciated, B, compensated, C, worthy of the task. You need the company behind you to help stimulate and perpetuate what these guys are trying to accomplish. I don't know if we had that for the longest time. And now I feel like there's a synergy between the company and the wrestlers themselves to get us back to where we need to be. I hope that made sense, but it just felt like a lot of the guys were swimming upstream to steal the line again. And I don't know, it just feels like everybody's rowing in the same cadence and the same pattern, and the boat is moving swiftly in the right direction.
And also, I feel that the company will recognize things that are emerging in this tournament and go with the flow and lean into that stuff. So I really feel like there's the opportunity for guys to deliver big in this tournament, even if they're not booked to necessarily get a massive points haul or to go deep in the tournament. But I feel that if they're performing well and getting the crowd on their side, then the company are going to be sitting up and paying attention to that.
Yeah, it's going to help. It's going to help everybody involved. It's and in hindsight, it might be difficult to have that. But yeah, it's like for me personally, I know I've had more conversation about pro wrestling from different people that I might not have expected to have heard from about pro wrestling, just because you kind of know they faded off into the distance and so forth. So there is, I feel anyway, a general excitement about it. Pro wrestling fans in general, New Japan Pro Wrestling fans. I feel like I don't know of any hand waving or like this. I haven't really heard a lot. Now again, I'm not really looking for it, but I haven't been exposed to that. And again, part of the fun is, after 3 nights, this guy's never going to amount to anything. He's going to be a fucking bum, and this guy's the future. And the next post is just the opposite. Right? That is part of the fun. That it is part of the fun. And I guess, coming from a sport background, we do that all the time. I mean, I can't tell you how many fucking times my wife has had to roll her eyes because I'll sit there for 2 hours talking about the best 1990 Phillies, just nonsense. Like, who fucking cares? But that's what we do with sports. We love to dissect it, pick at it, pull it apart, look at it, find new ways to look. It's just stuff that we do, sports fans. So I don't know, but in the same breath, as much as I can kind of make fun of it, that's what I do. And if I can do that in a pro wrestling aspect, all the better, all the fucking better.
Right, well, let's get straight into it then. Let's go to the A block, and at the top we have Zack Sabre Jr., who has 6 points, has won all of his matches so far, and I think he's been good. Should we do the stonks up,
sure,
stonks down,
that way.
Whole thing gimmick? Yeah. Zack would be a stonks up for me. I think he's been really good, and even though my expectations for someone like him are already high, I think the diversity in the kind of matches he can have has stood out to me, because he's not just the guy who's going to do funky chain submissions. He's got a lot more range to his styles, and I feel he's displaying that really well in this tournament. Like, for example, the rib injury he was selling against Great-O-Khan made Great-O-Khan look really good in that first match. Bringing out the Zack driver again, reestablishing that out of the gate as a sudden match ender, so not just the submissions. I thought against Naito, arguably one of Naito's better, maybe best opponent still in the company right now. I thought it was a very, very reliable base for Naito, and that was probably Naito's best match of the tournament, and I don't think that's a coincidence, because it was against a guy as reliable and high quality as Zack Sabre Jr. I thought he led Callum Newman through a really ambitious match. They had some really great sequences there. And I love the finish of that, where he just was trying to lock in that triangle choke at the end and then just switched it up to the heel hook and got the quick tap out. I love that, where you get that sort of MMA style where, you don't necessarily have the pro wrestling style of a guy like, I can't make it to the ropes. I'm going to tap out, just like, fuck my ankle, and tapping out straight away. I suppose the noteworthy thing that he's done so far this tournament is taking Naito's belt after that match and posing with it. Yes. So that's raised a lot of questions about what is next for Zack, because that's kind of made me doubt his ability to necessarily go and win the tournament. If he's taken the belt and is signifying that, me beating Naito here, I want a title shot, then that's making me think more of an October challenge like King of Pro Wrestling or a Royal Quest or something like that, rather than winning the G1 and going all the way to Wrestle Kingdom. But he has got Jake Lee and Shota Umino coming up next. Your thoughts on Zack so far?
Yeah, you're right about that, in a sense of it does feel like it's a title defense, right, and not a G1 win. He's been awesome. Super reliable, super dependable, right? And not just like, 80s jobber dependable, Barry Horowitz, great worker, but he's a jobber and he's there to help people along and make people stars. He's the star and he's doing this. And you need that, I feel like, in a tournament like this, because you do need people with experience and you do need people to kind of pace a match, because I'm sure, especially night one, I'm sure there were a lot of butterflies. I would think you do need that stability, dependability, reliability, and he brings it. And look, I don't think there's any secret that he's my favorite guy on the roster. Just because of all of those things and the fact that, look, I'm hard pressed to say, show me a bad Zach match. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's the style. It's the way he carries himself. It's the whole fucking package. So, yeah, I'm all in. And I think he's had well, listen, if we're doing the stonks, I'm buying. Give me as many fucking shares as you can. But yes, you are right in the sense that there was a slight bit of disappointment in him winning, because you're right. It does feel like this is going to be a title change. But I will say this. He damn well looked really fucking sharp with that title. He really did. And the fact that he was like...
Right, like, I wouldn't necessarily rule out that he might actually win it in October or at Royal Quest.
You are right. Because, and again, we'll talk about more about individuals, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to have Naito drop that title. It really wouldn't. And in a place like Royal Quest, where I was thinking about our Suede bit. Suede's coming, baby. Suede's coming back. Brett Anderson and the boys are coming back to London. If you know what I'm saying, a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It does feel like it could. See, here's the thing, and I'm sure that if you listen to other New Japan centric podcasts, the prevailing tone is, I don't fucking know. Right? Like, I don't know. And you're saying that with a smile on your face, because like logically you could be like, yeah, I could see them doing that. Sure. And it can fork in so many different directions. It's, like I said, that's what makes it exciting, and I'm down for it. But yes, Zach, absolutely, I'm buying all the stocks.
We also have Evil, who's sitting on 6 points with 3 wins out of 3. He is a stonks told for me. It very much depends on who he's wrestling, because I feel when he's up against a wrestler who really brings the fight to him, then that can be very exciting. Like the match he had against Gabe Kidd, it was uncharacteristically physical.
Yes.
That felt more like a proper brawl. And that's what I want from Evil. He's very capable of doing that. I think if you strip away all the shenanigans, and if you were just to have Evil like doing LIJ Evil, where he's just doing like the normal kind of bruiser style, it's not very good. It's a bit underwhelming, to be honest. So I think all the smoke and mirrors is there for a reason, but it is exciting when he is sort of dragged into that kind of physical match that Gabe did. And I thought that was definitely more than the sum of its parts. And that's what I want from Evil, because this is a guy who I feel he's had his push. Last year he had his run to the G1 semis. He had his never run earlier this year where it's very House of Torture dominant. Now I want to see what he can do. I want to see him helping the guys like Gabe and Callum and, to a lesser extent, Shota Umino. But it very much depends on who his opponent with, because the Jake Lee match, I thought the end of it was quite entertaining, just from the sort of sheer shenanigans side of it. But the Evil control period at the start was very, very dull. And then the Sonata match, that was just like pure pro wrestling hate. Like these guys, for a pair of guys who spent a long time working together in the same faction, had a pretty decent tag team run together. They've got the worst kind of anti-chemistry. And I don't know if that was them just leaning into that. Like maybe they were sort of sitting backstage watching the prior match, which was Gabe Kidd against Shota Umino, thinking, fuck that, let's get the House of Torture t-shirt out. And that was them just like riffing and just yucking it up and having a good time and trying to pop each other. But that was an absolute stinker. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. They didn't fuck anything up, but they just went like absolute, the worst kind of Sonata evil iteration you can imagine. That's what they went out and delivered. So it's very much dependent on who he's facing. He's got Naito next in a main event, which it does make me a bit nervous. And then Callum Newman after that, which is an interesting one because, again, that's where I'm looking for value in evil, because these kind of matches against guys like Sonata and Naito, they do nothing for me. But against the younger guys, then I think, okay, there's something we can sink our teeth into here where we can see what value he's got. Yeah.
I mean, for me, evil, I would think, and I think many would agree, like he is a picture perfect heel gatekeeper. And I think when people lose their minds is when he graduates from that, and they're putting a little bit more value in him than maybe people want. And I think he's set up for that in G1 this year, right? He's got a solid win total, which...
Yeah, that's quite encouraging. The fact that he's won all three of his matches makes me think, okay, he's probably not going to be featuring in the knockouts at the end.
Right. Or, if he is going to be featured late, it's going to be a guy who either A, is trying to upset someone, or B, he's going to be like walking that straight line of, hey, maybe this fucking clown is going to be in, and then he gets the big loss, and everyone, loses their mind in happiness. He hasn't been, for me anyway, he hasn't been an evil that I would be very skeptical of. Like, not yet, not after 3 nights. Like, he's been good at times, fun at times, but I don't know if it's I don't even think in this G1 it's like an over-reliance on being House of Torture-ish. Sonata, when we talk about Zach and being, we use the words dependable and reliable, like that might be the biggest slight I have against a guy like Sonata, in the sense you don't know what the fuck you're going to get. And while I'll sit here and say, unpredictability is so fun, in that case, it's not. It really isn't. And evil, I fear, is a guy that does follow suit. Sometimes he rises to the occasion. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes the shenanigans works. And sometimes it's a fart in church. You don't know. And I think that's the biggest thing about him. Like, it's always a pleasant surprise when he outperforms the low expectations that you might have. But when he hits those low expectations or even falls short, you're just like, what the fuck what are we doing with this? What are we doing here? Right? Your hands are in the air. You're just like, what the fuck? What am I doing watching this? Look, he certainly has a purpose, and he certainly has a definitive role within this company. The problem is that when he goes outside of that lane, I don't think he's sniffing finals. I don't think he's sniffing semifinals, but he's going to be a guy that's either A, going to cause somebody not to get in, or he's going to be close, walking the line, and somebody hopefully will get a big win to kick his ass out of the tournament. That's what we're hoping for.
Next would be Shingo Takagi, who is on 4 points. And he's a guy that I was starting to hand wave him prior to the G1, thinking he looks like he's slowing down a bit. He's not doing the ambitious stuff, maybe the more sort of dangerous stuff that he was doing, 4 or 5 years ago, which is understandable. That's not necessarily a criticism, just an observation. But I feel in his first few matches in this G1, he's been a real workhorse. I think he did a lot of the heavy lifting against Naito. I thought he brought the intensity to his match against Shota Umino and kind of kicked some life into him after a fairly mediocre start for Shota. And in the Great-O-Khan match, that one really surprised me because he was flying all over the ring. He was bouncing and bumping to make Great-O-Khan look good. So whilst he's not doing those high-end, spectacular work ratey matches of 2019, which again probably sensible for him because he's getting on a bit, and maybe he will as the tournament goes on. We might see those high peaks from him, but even Shingo in third gear is better than most wrestlers in fifth gear, and I like the way he's mixing stuff up, like the finishes. He beat Great-O-Khan, didn't he, with like a pumping bomber pinning combination. So yeah, he's impressed me so far, even with the high standards that he already sets. So he has got Callum Newman and Gabe Kidd next. So again, very interested to see how those ones play out, particularly the Callum Newman match. I'll be interested to see stylistically what that looks like. Are they going to be sort of tributes to the Shingo Osprey matches of yesteryear? So that one's a really interesting one to look forward to. And the Gabe Kidd match, their matches previously this year just a little bit underwhelming. I think they could have done more in that, so we'll see if this one lives up to the expectation. But all in all, I think so far he's having a very strong tournament.
Yeah, he's a stud. He's not Dragon Gate Shingo, right? It's we're well past that on the calendar. Even with that said, I'm sure I have no fear whatsoever that there's probably another gear, at least probably two, and there's really no need for that in night 3. Like let's he's going to be in the mix, so we might want to conserve that. These two matches I'm super excited for. I have them circled on my calendar for sure. Just because they're different styles, obviously. But again, I love the idea of two guys that maybe have a little chip on their shoulder, maybe want to prove a little something, and what a dance partner. A guy that as much as we talk about how the young guys, they're the bumpers and they're the ones that are going to do the heavy lifting, and if you want wacky surprise, get me out of my chair, hot spot pro wrestling, you kind of lean on your Callums, and even to a certain degree, maybe not the same style, but in the same momentum, I guess is the word I'm looking for Gabe, having that energy and having that, he's willing to do crazy stuff in the sense of more of a brawling aspect. Anyway, my point being is that Shingo can absolutely transition between both. So it's going to be different, both matches. I think both matches will have a level of energy, and I don't know. I feel like these have the potential to be some of the better matches in G1, and possibly one of those matches where, guys, you got to fucking see this match, right? Like there is. I feel like between these two matches, there's a high probability of you got to see this fucking match. And I guess that's one of the things that gets everybody excited about G1, right? The possibilities of that. Yeah, this is one of those that I'm looking at, or both of them that I'm looking at. And yeah, I'm buying Shingo stock, absolutely, all day and all fucking night.
And a guy you could easily slot into the knockout rounds later on if you're saying, oh, he's going to be going in the semi-finals or even the final. No problems with that.
No one would. No one would have a problem with that. If they did, they need their head examined, because he's, again, we talk about reliability. And as much as we talk about there's a few more miles on the engine, he tap him on the shoulder. Just give him the wink. He'll deliver. No worries about that.
Next up, Gabe Kidd, who is also sitting on 4 points. I don't know where to start with him. I've so much to say about Gabe Kidd. Is he the dark hero of New Japan, or has he even transcended that? Has he now become the true defender of strong style in New Japan Pro Wrestling? Is it to use that catchphrase from the Batman film? Not the hero we deserve, but the hero we needed. Because you can feel the crowd are turning, like they really want to cheer him. They are cheering him. Like they were cheering him against Shota Umino, and just the way his tournament started, very hot start against the perfect opponent in the shape of Evil, even though he didn't win that match. But just having him, I don't know if that was a very deliberate choice to have him against Evil. So in the spectrum of heel to face in New Japan, Evil is further down that heel spectrum. So people, I think, are naturally going to gravitate towards cheering against Gabe Kidd. And that's kind of set the tone for his tournament. And I was talking to Manabu actually about Gabe Kidd. Manabu said that in his eyes, the real three musketeers now are Tsuji, Yuya, and Gabe.
Wow.
So I think now there's a lot of people, and a lot of Japanese fans in particular, are buzzed. The buzz is buzzable for Gabe Kidd. And, we're doing the usual story thing about his aggression cost him. Like against Evil, he threw the ref out, and that ended up being to his disadvantage. He's also been talking about a lot of Hiromu. He's been going after Hiromu, so I don't know if that's something they got lined up. But the Great Okan match was really fantastic. His manic energy at its absolute best there. And again, talking about mixing up the finishes, the fact that he won that with a lariat, just absolute beast shit. I love that. Like, we're not just going to the well with the same finishes every single time. But I think really we've got to talk about this Shota Umino match, because that's the one that everyone's talking about now, where we saw a different Gabe Kidd. He was cold, he was locked in, he was focused. And there's a lot of rumors circulating about backstage beef between him and Shota Umino. I think, Damon, it was something about Shota eating part of Gabe's lunch. I think Gabe left his tonkotsu ramen unattended backstage. Shota just nabbed all the chashu, all the pork off the top. So there's real bad blood there. But
is that it?
I thought
is that
Gabe
what
Kidd,
we've heard? Is that it?
Yeah, I don't.
Is that what we're calling
right?
it?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
So
I don't know if I've Mandela affected
okay.
that one.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to call it.
But I thought Gabe did a really masterful job of towing that line between work and shoot, where if you know, and you saw all the little signs there where you were just like, oh my gosh, oh yes, this is real. But if you didn't know that, you think that, he was given all the kayfabe reasons for being, this is a guy who's been given all the advantages, but he's just wasting those opportunities, and I'm going to come and steal his lunch. And that's exactly what he did. Like, he brought the heat and the hate that everyone likes talking about these days. Not only did he absolutely beat the crap out of Shota, but he bumped like a madman for him as well.
Correct.
Made Shota look strong and put on a really professional but absolutely gripping performance, laced with shards of malice. The little things like saying, I hate you, and you want to fuck with me, you want to fuck with my lunch. I think that's what he said. And they just slapped the bejesus out of each other. We had Gabe bleeding from the mouth. He was cranking in the lion tame. He had his knee in the injured part of his back. I'm pretty sure he tagged him with a punch right at the end there when Shota was on his knees, and then finishing him off with the Dr. Bomb. Just impeccable vibes. And, if we're taking it purely in a kayfabe sense, setting the table for what could be a generational rivalry between them two. And then he killed him all over again in the post-match comments, called him a cunt, and said that he's why the fans cheering for me when they're supposed to be cheering for you, and you could end up having a career just like Yoshihashi. Yoshihashi catches strays for some reason, but just brilliant promo as well, because Gabe Kidd can do it all. He can do it all, Damon. He's got zero weaknesses. He's not bad at anything. I continue to shout it from the rooftops. Gabe Kidd is the truth.
I love it. Look, all right, this might be the we throw flowers at Gabe Kidd segment. So if it's too much for you to fucking stomach, you might want to fast forward a little bit. But the fact that you can't tell me that you don't sit there and when his music hits and he comes out with his Steve Williams-esque type robe, and he's got that fucking look in his eye, that you're not sitting on the edge of your chair / sofa / love seat / whatever the fuck you're sitting on, thinking, all right, what the fuck's this bugger got up his sleeve? Like, what nonsense is this guy going to do? That is truly, I feel like, missing in pro wrestling. Like, we all know what pro wrestling is. Like, it's obvious. And here's the thing: modern pro wrestling shows no inkling and no desire to stray away from. We know what pro wrestling is, right? I'm not saying that we need a throwback to 1987 where, hey, things, you might not be privy to backstage stuff. He brings in a certain level of unpredictability. And one of the things that we honed on with that unpredictability is it feels authentic. Like there's nothing worse than unpredictability, and this is not sincere, and it's just fucking hokey bullshit. Like there is a feeling with everything that he does that there is a legitimacy there that is genuine and sincere, and it's something that you can get excited for, right? He, let's think about this. Where he came from, where he's been, what he's gone through, all of that to be where he is right now. Like, let's fucking give him a little bit of a round of applause in the sense of, way to fucking go, dude. Way to fucking go. Nice work by you. Because I remember sitting in Philly, third row, listening to him open up this interview where he opens up. And I'm not, trust me, my phone is one of the most underused devices in my life. Joel can attest to that. Right? My response time to text messages are horrific. I felt I needed to get this fucking phone out and record this interview. This fucking him on the mic. Had to. Because of just, like, it was like him hitting a reset button. And he had to get fucking shit off his chest. And he had to be honest with himself. And that was a way for him to do that. And now look at him go. Look, you can, whatever you want to believe when it comes to rumors, ramen, tonkatsu, whatever fuck. They brought that energy to the ring. And if there is any type of issue, and also let me be very, 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 very clear. This was in no way a shoot. Please stop. Don't be ridiculous. But it was hard hitting, right? And if there are issues, then like they were professional about it, but they fucking hit each other hard. I'm all in on Gabe, kid. I'm not. I can't lie. To me, he has made himself. And again, I talked about how a lot of these guys during the lean years of 2020, 2021 had to do everything in their power to fucking fight, claw, scratch to be relevant in this company. And he's put in the work and it's paying off. And you're right. Like people want to cheer him because it's that energy, that I mean, why do you think Stan Hansen was so fucking popular? Why do you think Bruiser Brody was so popular? Why do you think the Road Warriors were so popular? Yes, all of them are monsters. Yes, they do look like fucking, people not of this world. But it was also in energy that they brought. And trust me, I'm not saying Gabe Kidd is Stan Hansen. But what I am saying is there is an energy there that is absolutely comparable. Again, one's 300 pounds, one's probably 250, soaking wet. Okay, the energy is there. That energy is absolutely there. And you can make a comparison to, say, Terry Funk, right? Again, am I saying he's Terry Funk? No, I'm saying the energy is there. And what made them as popular as they were and are to this day in Japan is that authenticity. So yeah, he's fucking home run. He's doing great. He'll continue to do great. Just want everybody to be careful and safe and make the right choices. Again, unpredictability and we want to make sure that we're still walking the line. But I'm all in. Give me all the stocks.
He's got Sanada next and then Shingo. I'm fascinated by the Sanada match just to see what he can bring out of Sanada. If he can bring some sort of anything similar to that level of intensity and emotion from Sanada, or if it's just going to be, the usual Sanada match. But that's what I'm intrigued by. A few questions here. John says,
Beat the fuck out.
John says, I feel like at this point, Gabe is a better foil / rival for Umino than Narita is. Thoughts? Honestly, I'd buy a ticket for Umino versus Kid before I bought one for Umino versus Moxley too. Gabe is like Umino's shadow. And Aramitha says, is Umino versus Kid a future Wrestle Kingdom main event? So, yeah, your thoughts on the potential of this Umino Kid rivalry?
I mean, to me, it felt... I don't know if I'm going like main event at the fucking Tokyo Dome, but I'll tell you what, I do vividly remember me kind of talking to myself in my mind of, man, I want this to continue. Like, I want this to be not the last time we see this, and I want this to be a program. And I compared it almost to, and again, we're talking about different styles and all, and I know the obvious similarity, but like, to me, this was Dynamite Kid Tiger Mask. It felt like where it could be an absolute rivalry for now and forevermore. Just two guys that like to beat the fuck out of each other. I would have no problem with that. And it's something you can revisit. You don't have to continue. It doesn't have to be Jimmy Valiant, fucking Paul Jones, where it's like, okay, we get it. Do you have any other things you can do in pro wrestling besides wrestling each other? We don't want that. But in the same breath, you can go to it at any point. Yeah, like there's built-in fun. To answer the question, I want at least another 2 years of the possibilities of these two guys being in the same ring together.
And I think Gabe Kidd also said he wants to meet Yotsuji in the final. So there we go. A little bit of a break on it. I don't think it's going to happen, but just the fact that he said it is made me think, oh, God, I want it. Anyway, we move on to talk about deep breaths, everyone. Sit down, get a drink. Tetsuya Naito, who is sitting on 2 points. And Naito, he's just so good at pro wrestling, Damon. He has worked everyone. You remember when everyone was going on about Kazuchika Okada pretending to have a bad back and wrestling badly on purpose, and it was like, oh no, it's a work, you fools. It was all part of the storyline, and then it was a brilliant redemption arc, and he turned it all around and went back to his best. And now Naito is deliberately botching his signature move in all his matches, and getting people all worried. But that's first part of the storyline, isn't it, Damon? He's doing it on purpose. He's a genius, and that everything's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm worried. How about that? How about that? Talk about miles, man. It's like the credit card is due. It feels like the credit card is due. And do you remember getting your first credit card and you were like, "Oh, what do you mean I have $5,000? Let's go to dinner." I'm taking you out for a steak. And then the bill comes. And you're like, wait a minute, I don't remember buying that. Oh, I don't remember that. I don't remember. And it's like, okay, well, I'll just pay off the $5. Oh, no, there's interest as well, sir. What? What do you mean? What is this interest you're talking about? Oh, so I have how can I be charged more than my balance? Yeah, right. That's Naito right now. Like the credit card bill came in the mail. And it's,
the bailiffs are here.
Yeah.
And they're taking shit from us.
Yeah. That TV is going right out the fucking window. But that's the sad part of pro wrestling. And especially, when we talk about what made New Japan Pro Wrestling so great, unfortunately, there are bills to be paid when it comes to that.
He's been good though. Like, the matches have been good. Like, the Shingo match was really good, apart from when the Destin-oh got fucked up. Zack match, very good. Like, no problems with that one. The Jake Lee match, all right, until the Destin-oh got fucked up. But it's just something that I can't ignore that. No. That just shatters my suspension of disbelief. And, other people are going to interpret it a different way. I know there's a lot of people think that it adds to the drama, that it's almost something that's become, can he get it up? That's become something that's exciting for them in the match. But it's not for me. It just completely shatters my personal suspension of disbelief. And I hate to just have to do this discourse again and again and again, but it needs a new finisher. You can't keep doing that. You can't keep fucking up your finishing move. You can't do that.
Right.
And I know he's the biggest star, and I know he's still really good at lots of other stuff. So I'm not saying that he's a complete bust and that they should strip the title off of him and that he's got no value to New Japan. Although that said, the attendance for night 3 was not great. Less than 2,000 in Hiroshima. But again, we'll put that to one side. But just change the finishing move. Yeah. Just change the finisher. That's it. It's a little thing.
But the problem is that you run into a situation where it's like, you got Okada with the fucking money clip, right? You're just like, ugh.
Bring it out. What was his was it the Puma Blanca, the submission move he had? Let's do that.
I mean, sure. I mean, I'm in full agreement with you. Like, if people get excited over the possibility of, is he going to hit this move or is he not going to hit this move? I don't know. Like, to me, in essence, you've like the value of a Destin-oh at that point is like, okay, now he's got now there's a 50-50 shot of him even pulling it off, right? Like, so if you're Naito, why would you do it, right? I guess you got more brains than fucking, or more guts than brains. If you,
I'm imagining like a scenario now where like Gedo's calling me into his office, like, Tetsuya, you know what this is about. You know it's been coming. We got to stop doing the Destin-oh. It's like, right. So you want me to finish every match with a Stardust press? Got it. Okay, thanks, boss. See you tomorrow.
Right. I mean, look, again, pro wrestlers are pro wrestlers. I worry about them a little bit, and I don't worry about wrestlers a lot. Like, I feel like they're adults and they're going to do what they do, and they know the risks and blah 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 blah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, by no means is here's the sad part, is that you could see the wheels churning in his head, but the body's just not helping him make it happen. That to me, and trust me, on a very, 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 very small scale, I can relate to that. Certainly in no possible way would it be comparable to what they do on a nightly basis. But like, you know that time, and sometimes you're in denial. You don't even want to have the conversation in your head, let alone with another human being. He's in no way washed. Let's be very clear on that. He's in no way in any jeopardy of being a guy that we're hand waving, right? I think that would be incredibly unfair, and that's just not based off of his past output. Like, he can still go, but he's got to find a way to tweak things. Yeah, right. And he's a smart cookie. Like, he's not, he's got to find a way to tweak it. I think that is important, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing for him to be like, hey, look, not for nothing. Imagine that in Japanese translated. Not for nothing. Not for nothing. I know I'm not fucking hitting this Destin-oh, and it's causing me some. So I know I'm not the youngest guy here. I know I got a lot of miles on this body. I'm going to change things up. I'm still going to be the same fucking dude. But I'm going to change things up a little bit, change the style, keep people guessing. So you might not see the Destin-oh every once in a while, because then Joel, if he publicly says, fuck it, I'm not doing Destin-oh. We see the results. I'm not doing it. And then that one or two times that he pulls it out. Oh, it's dude, it's just like at the Dome when he won the fucking title. What was the biggest pop of that fucking match and the show? Even from you, you were ready to run in the fucking ring and celebrate with the guy. Embarrassing. My wife was like, "What the fuck?" No, I'm kidding. It was obviously the start of press. Him fucking pulling that out. We could do that again with this. I think that would be a wise move. So again, I think he's worked incredibly hard to be the guy that everyone knows him as. And I don't think he has to do that anymore. And I think it would be wise of him, and I think he knows it, that we got to change it up a little bit, because what he could do 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago is something that, look, let's be honest, it's not working now. Change it up. He'll be fine. He's a smart guy. He'll figure it out.
He has, in his next 2 matches, 2 main events coming up against Evil and then Sanada. So,
well, he's got.
Weirdly, they might be fine. I think
so?
those are 2 reliable opponents who I think could be a good base for him. So, keep it simple. Like, I'm not expecting balls to the wall 5-star thrillers, but just get things back to basics. And I know those are not opponents that are going to get people's pulses quickening, but
I'm hoping Gabe Kidd
I
knocks
think
out
more
Sanada.
exciting opponents.
I'm hoping Gabe Kidd just gives him a right fucking cross right in the mouth, knocks him out, and he can't compete, and away we go. Woo!
Got 2 questions here. Ultimate Grab says, do you think Naito will drop the belt in the fall before Wrestle Kingdom, and to who? And the Novelist says, who do you want to see win this, and who do you think we could see Naito drop the title in one of his post G1 title defenses? I'm not going to rule it out, but I just do think they need Tetsuya Naito as champion in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, just because he's the last proven star that they've got left. So I think it would be exciting from a creative standpoint to get the title off of him before Wrestle Kingdom, but I don't think they will.
I think they could. I know that's a weak-ass answer. They could. Of course they could. But they also could do this. You could keep the title on him, and maybe a little smoke and mirror stuff, right? He might not have that 30-minute, 35-minute title match that we're all used to. You know what? Fucking pin a guy in 15 minutes. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But you can keep him in tags, and you can keep him. Just get him healthy. Because I think a healthy Naito has absolutely more value than just about anybody else, unless, again, they got something up their sleeve that we're building toward when it comes to G1 and future defenses. But I don't think it's panic time in getting the belt off of him. I feel like you can keep the belt off of him, keep the value of him that he absolutely has. Hiroshima was weird. I thought him kind of having, and again, I don't know how strong that is with this fucking association with the Carp, the baseball team, and him, all that. I don't know how much that plays into shit. But anywho, it could have been just a fucking hot day, and they were like, I ain't getting out of the house. I ain't leaving my air conditioner. You can keep Naito with the belt, and you can creatively book him in ways to preserve him. Because again, there's massive value in him still. It might not be in closing sequences of matches, but again, I think getting him healthy has more value than moving the title off of him and having somebody else in the main event.
Right, I'm going to try and speed things up a bit.
Sorry.
About 5 wrestlers. No, not at all. There's a lot to dig into with these guys, and I think, let's talk about Jake Lee, who is sitting on 2 points. The Smarto Bastardo. Initially, I liked his music. I liked his presentation. It was like an evil Michael Flatley. Just it reminded me of Riverdance there, the music. I did find there was something compelling about the way he carries himself, reminded me of the book series, The Gentleman Bastards. He's got kind of like a languid cockiness that it's quite fun to watch. He's got a cool finisher. Was it the face break smash? I think that's what he calls it. That comes out of nowhere. And I thought it was quite an exciting win, big dominant win out of the gate against Sanada, who is not for nothing, as you say, former champion, former Tokyo Dome main eventer, getting squashed like that. So I thought, wow, a company are serious about him. And then the Evil match happened. And then the Naito match happens, and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe everyone else is right about Jake Lee.
Yeah.
I was quite shocked that he lost the Naito match. I was convinced he was going to win that because he's already lost to him once. But how are we feeling about Jake Lee so far?
He's been there, right? I think what he's bringing is a fresh face. I can absolutely get behind the people that are like, oh my God, this fucking guy. Because I heard enough of it, when he was doing his shit in other promotions. I think there's value there. Do I think he's going to be in the mix at the end? Probably. And I don't think it's a bad thing. And I will also say this, that once again, there's plenty more to get through when it comes to G1. So I'm holding the stonks, if you will. Like, I'm not buying, I'm not selling. I need to see just a smidge more. I'm not rating them off. Let's put it that way. I think there's more there. I really do. And I could be fucking naive about that, but I think there's more there. Do you know who he has next?
Yeah, so he has Zach next, and then Great Khan. So I was going to say, let's wait and see him against the more exciting opponents in the block.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm shaky on Okan, to be honest with you. Yeah, let's get another week under our belts, and then we'll have a better idea of what we got. But I'm willing. Let's put it this way: I'm willing to do that. I'm not rating him off.
Andrew says, "Is Smart Bastard Jake Lee the greatest New Japan nickname ever?" Did you catch that funny moment where Walker tried to do a funny and said, "Oh, that's what Kevin Kelly called you, Chris"? And then there was just a really awkward silence after that, and my mind was racing at what was going on, causing that awkward silence. Chris was just giving him a Chinese burn under the table or something. But that was extremely funny to me. Reese says, any idea if the IWGP committee will give the big belt to the Smart Bastard? Multiverse A says, is Jake Lee the most boring pushed wrestler in recent memory? If not, who is? Cashew is Life says, is Jake Lee the ProRes equivalent of Alvaro Morata? Here's a Spanish footballer, for those who don't know. Both are underwhelming despite being signed to some of the biggest companies / clubs in their fields, Madrid, Atleti, Juve and Chelsea. I hope not, because then if he is Alvaro Morata, that means he's going to be a champion at the end of this thing. So I'd rather not see that. Ben says, is Jake Lee known as the Smart Bastard because he has a no-return policy? Yeah, where do you see? What do you see his ceiling being?
I mean,
not future.
Yeah, I think he's a solid upper mid card guy. I cannot see him holding the title. I've said that about Evil though, right? I think everything's on the table. I don't see it. Look, I get where people just are bored to the tears watching him, but I also, again, I don't know. I always feel like there's always something left in the tank with him, and maybe that's the biggest problem. Where it's like, okay, give me all you got. Again, I'm willing to give the guy at least another week doing this shit against guys that, the percentages are better when it comes to match output. Let's give him another week. That's all. How about this? Give him another week. Let's see where he stands. And I'll be honest, I'll frame the membership card of the anti-Jake Lee team if the results aren't there. I'll be the first fucking person to tell you. But I'll also be the first person to tell you to be like, you know what? He put it together that week, and it might fall apart the next week. But I'm willing to give him that the college try, if you will.
All right, next is Sanada, who's got 2 points. I'm not a huge amount to say about him. I will say, I don't mean to be horrible, but if all his matches are less than 10 minutes, then that'll be a net positive, because I thought he played his role perfectly against Jake Lee. That match going 4 minutes or whatever it was genius. I thought he was very good against Callum Newman. I thought very good dance partner for Callum, showing his being the relatively experienced dance partner of him was really good. Evil match, dog shit. Didn't like that at all. Again, I think they will him busting out the Paradise Lock, which you've not seen for ages, right after Gabe versus Shota, was very, very jarring. And again, must have been a rib just based on the sort of juxtaposition of those two matches. He has got Gabe Kidd next, and then Naito after that. Sanada is Sanada. I don't know what else I can say about him.
You're exactly right. He's just a guy that just is never going to do it for me. I'm sorry. To me, he's more boring than Jake Lee. Only because if they're both equal in everything else, at least Jake Lee's got a fresh fucking face, and I don't have to look at fucking Sonata anymore. I'm totally cool with that. He's one guy that I'm going to be. I hate to say it, and I don't hate to say it, but people might not want to fucking hear it. I would drive him to the fucking airport. Get him out. I'm done with him. I really am. I'm just like, I don't care. But I will say this. I'll throw some flowers at him. All right, let's keep it positive. I'll throw some flowers at him. I love the fact that he's willing to lie down in under what was that first match? 8 minutes? It was fucking short as shit. And out of nowhere, it was great. So I was happy for that. At least he's willing to do that. But yeah, I got no time for fucking Sonata at this point. In 2024, I got no fucking time for Sonata.
Callum Newman also got 2 points, not beating the Will Cosplay accusations yet. But again, I do think that's all intentional. I'm sure eventually he will drop it and evolve to become his own man. And that's going to be part of the narrative journey, I think. His speed and athleticism are front and center. But he's obviously putting, I think, a lot of thought into the match structure too with that first match. I know people were shitting on it, but I thought the way he went after Shota's injured back to set up the Oscar was very smart. I like that. I thought the closing sequence against Sanada was very good. He can do all the the high speed closing sequence, reversal, counter stuff that everyone loves. And I thought the Zack Sabre Jr. match was excellent as well. They did some really ambitious stuff, really great counters, and the submission transitions and all that. And I feel Callum is being held to maybe unfairly high standards. I think he's delivering personally. And look, at the end of the day, he's a very young guy, youngest ever G1 entrant, if I'm not mistaken. And he's been thrown in at the deep end so he can learn on the job and figure this stuff out. And I think he's doing an admirable job so far. He's got Shingo next, which I've said before, I'm quite excited about. Evil after that, not so excited about that one, but I think Callum's doing absolutely fine.
Yeah, nobody expected him to be, 6 points at this point. And I think the matches have been solid, and there have been glimmers of, whoa, what the fuck am I watching here? This is good. For all that we talk about, like, okay, we don't want a cloned Ospreay. It seems like everybody leans into that a little bit hard. Like, just seems that he would be better off if they could just completely ignored that. I mean, it might be hard to do, but it's pro wrestling. I mean, a lot of other things have been ignored. And him just being him. Like, do we have to reference Will Ospreay every time he's in the fucking ring? Do we have, like, can we get him a finisher that's not Will Ospreay? Like it's that kind of stuff that, okay, obviously everyone's in agreement that, okay, we're going to build up until finally, I mean, is this going to be a Hogan Orndorff kind of thing where Will makes his return to New Japan Pro Wrestling come January 5th? And, there's a turn, or I don't know. It just seems like they are beating the horse to death when it comes to the similarities between him and Ospreay. And it's like, okay, well, why are we leaning into this every fucking match? Like, there's got to be a reason. Like, they don't do that for anybody else, do they? Like, it just seems like, okay, this seems a little premeditated, maybe. And if it's not, then can we enough of the Will Ospreay comparisons? Let's make him his own guy, and it's not going to happen overnight. But it starts with the company kind of saying, okay, let's not mention Will Ospreay in the same sentence as Callum Newman. Let's just try that.
Shota Umino, 2 points as well. Came into the tournament not looking in his best shape, and the haircut shit, and he has looked better in the past, and he didn't seem to be carrying that confidence and that snap he's had in the past. The Callum Newman match, I thought everyone seems to be trashing that one. I didn't think it was that bad, obviously not his best match, but I didn't see the huge issues that other people seem to. But I would just say don't be so quick to write him off, because I think he's leaning into the thing about the injured back. That's his story. And I cannot believe that this genuinely injured back is being attacked by his opponents. It's so dangerous. They might, they could cripple him. And the superhuman recovery powers to take that beating from Shingo to his injuries and come back to win. Unbelievable. But no, the Shingo match was a very, very good match. And again, the Gabe match, some people have said he looks, focused and determined.
No,
I thought he looked terrified.
Me too. I thought he was shitting his pants.
Yeah. There were moments he was lying on the canvas and didn't want to get up, and Gabe was like, "Get up, you coward." He took him a long time to get back on his feet. But look, he took his beating like a man. I thought he brought the fire to that match really well. But there is an issue here with Shota, and I don't think it's the ring work. I think the ring work is absolutely fine, but to me, it's the huge disconnect with the crowd. And I've mentioned before, the Japanese Twitter seemed to have picked it up. I've seen some tweets. Again, not a monolith. I'm not saying I've spoken to every single Japanese fan.
You haven't?
But I have noticed the fans don't love him. They don't love him. They're cheering for Gabe and not Shota, and I don't know if that was intent. I don't know if that's what the company intended. So the guy who's been presented as the big baby face, high-fiving the fans, handing out the little wristbands and everything, and the fans don't love him. And I think that's an issue. Not necessarily a bad one, but something that I think they need to recognise, or he needs to recognise, or the company needs to recognise, and do something with it. Because you can't just keep on doing what you're doing and expect that to change. So either he needs to change something and do something that is going to make the fans cheer him, or he leans into that uncertainty and uneasy relationship with the crowd, and maybe go down the Naito path.
Yoshihashi
I think there's a lot of really interesting things you could do. Oh, the Yoshihashi path. Yeah, so I'm not on the Shota's a fraud, he's washed, he's cooked train that a lot of people are, but I think there's a crossroads ahead of him. He has Great O'Khan and Zack Sabre Jr. next. But yeah, how are you feeling about Shota?
Well, let me give you the opposite side of the coin, shall we? What did I text? I was like, we need a sounder. We need somebody to create a sounder. A Fraudwatch, but to the tune of...
Fraudwatch.
Okay, now I'm going to ask this. You're like my AI at this point. Please create this song in the style of Car Wash, the famous 70s song. Working at the Fraudwatch. Right?
Jobbing 9 to 5.
Talk about a guy who... All right, well, let's break it down. So he's walking, first of all, I love it when they walk people through their entrance. And again, if it happens to be a set of steel doors and he's in the crowd, I just love the idea of watching like them kind of build to greeting the crowd and watching their mind churn. So he's, he comes out, crowd, and he's giving away little wristband gimmick things to the kids. Does he have the most miserable look on his face when he does that? Like, if I'm the kid, I'm like, well, go fuck yourself. If you're not, you don't be here. Get I don't need your dumb wristband. Shut up your ass. And you're right. It just feels like that's flat as a pancake. Like, it's just like, okay, what are we doing here? It just seems like we're trying to shoehorn this in. 2, in ring. Joe, I'm sorry. I feel like he's taken not 1 step backwards. I feel like he's taken 2 steps backwards. He looks awkward.
Wow.
He looks awkward and lost. Like he needs to be in the ring with guys who, if it fucking unfurls, if the fucking match falls apart, he needs somebody in there to get it back together. Because if it's just him, Lord, this is not turning out well. Look, Gabe Kidd read my fucking mind, because I'm telling you right now, I'm getting not current day, but back in the day, Yoshihashi vibes, man. Big fucking time. Big fucking Yoshi bag of socks bullshit vibes. Sorry. He needs a young lady to cry over him, because guess what? He is one of these guys that is on thin ice with me. Thin fucking ice. Like, he's had really solid dance partners, and I don't really think he's helped carry the weight in any matches that have been very good. Like, I feel like it's been a lot of the heavy lifting on the other guys in the ring. And he's got a decent... who's he have coming up? He has 2... Who's his next two? Do you know? You have it readily available?
Great Khan and Zach.
Khan scares me. That match fucking frightens me. Zach, again.
I could see that. I know this is not coming up next week, but looking longer term, him against Sanada and Jake Lee, that terrifies me.
Yeah, that's scary fucking shit right there. Look, to me, there are guys that are head and shoulders above. Like, if we're doing the four guys, head and shoulders above. There are guys that aren't considered in the new era musketeers that are head and shoulders above. I don't know, man. He's got this deer in headlights. I'm lost. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And not for nothing, he's got a look in his eyes sometimes where it's like, I would rather be anywhere else but here. I don't know. I have genuine, deep-rooted concerns about him. I think there is so much runway for improvement. It's not funny. And I'm going to go so far as to say this. They've invested a lot in him. They have invested a lot in him. And again, this is not like this is a guy who's, this is his third fucking pro wrestling match. Like we've invested time, energy, space, everything. I don't think he's lived up to it. I really don't. And he's young. I get it. And he's there's still plenty of fucking a way to go in this guy's career. But like for me, the path he is on 2019 Yoshihashi.
Wow. All right. Well, let's move on to Great Khan, who is on 0 points. And I'm calling it, Damon. I'm taking Great Khan off of Fraudwatch.
Whoa!
I think he's been really good so far, despite losing all his matches. And I think that's almost to his credit, the fact that he's lost all his matches, but he's still delivered in the ring. In my opinion, at least, he looks more motivated, maybe the best shape of his career. I think he's looking good. He's a lot more dynamic, more explosive. He did some very creative and interesting stuff in the Zack match, like the crowd striking exchange or throwing Shingo around the ring and showing his range of suplexes and this and that. And I think he's one of the guys who's benefiting from having a reduced field of 20 as more than anything like a vote of confidence, saying we believe in you, we think you're one of the 20 top guys, go out and show it to us. I'm enjoying the gimmick of him matching everyone else's styles and doing something a little bit different each night, and a guy who I think is underrated in his ability to do nutty things in a brawl. So I'm enjoying Great Khan's output so far. He's got Shota next, which after everything you said, I'm a bit nervous about, and Jake Lee after that. So if he can get an interesting match out of Jake Lee, then we'll be throwing flowers at him. But for me, so far so good for Great Khan.
I think he's done good in the ring, right? The one thing that I kind of just lean into a little bit is, if we're here to believe that there is this change of philosophy, maybe even new voices, maybe even old voices returning, in the creative aspect of New Japan Pro Wrestling, we're still looking at a guy who's looking at the lights more times than not, right? So I do appreciate the fact that, he's in the best of the best. Like he made the cut to get in the G1. In ring, I've enjoyed everything that he's done, and I try not to cloud my enjoyment of him in the idea of being objective about him. He's been very good. Good. How about this? He's been good in the ring. Very good. We can make that argument. I'm willing to listen to that. But, man, I hope he goes on a little bit of a fucking run because it ain't looking good for him. Early stages here in G1 when it comes to points and a reputation. Like he's living up to his fucking I can't win a match reputation. And that's not doing him any fucking favors, that's for sure.
Jordan says, when will Khan finally get respect as a worker? He's been having great matches for years, and you still see the cage match comments being shocked that he's good. What does it take? No, I wouldn't read that much into cage match, to be honest, because the people that use cage match are psychopaths. Wow. Irrigar says, love Great Khan versus Gabe Kidd. Am I crazy? No, I'm right there with you. And 2, going to Arsenal versus Man United. Any advice for seeing the Gunners live for the first time? yeah, they've announced a pretty strong squad, relatively speaking, for that tour. Our captain, Martin Odegaard's going, so enjoy him because he's brilliant, one of the best footballers I've ever seen. We've got some other big names going: Ben White, Gabriel Jesus, Jurien Timber, Trossard's going, Jorginho. So yeah, I think you'll have a good time. So my advice: enjoy Martin Odegaard. That would be my advice.
Right.
But let's move on to B block then, if I may.
Yes.
And let's start with top of the block, Henare, who's on 4 points, won both of his matches, and I'm loving it, Damon. He is carrying himself like one of the powerhouse bullies of the G1, finally getting the respect that he deserves. Like, this is a guy I think should be booked like fucking Bad Luck Fale. He should be a monster. He should be booked like a monster. I love the way he just absolutely manhandled ELP in the first match. Henora's a guy who just absolutely cooks when he finds an opponent who is as bonkers as he is. And I think he found that with the Oleg Boltin match as well, because Oleg was just not afraid to eat those bombs and have that kind of crazy match that Henare likes to have. And that's exactly what we want in the Grade 1 Climax. He's got Finlay next, which I'm really excited about, and Takeshita after that, and I cannot wait for that one. So all systems are go for me and Henare. He's great.
Yep.
Love him.
Buying all the stocks. I do too. I find it to be really like a refreshing bit of meaty, beefy, never open weight nostalgia, right? He's that guy. He's your guy if you love that style of match. And he's brought it. And the points, I don't know. I like the fact that the dude's getting some recognition. He's absolutely paid his dues. Like, come on. He has paid his fucking dues. And the fact that, it would not be an absolute crazy statement, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the only opinion I value, to be quite frank. We're more than halfway through the year. Is he getting a vote for Wrestler of the Year for you?
Yeah, even with that big spell on the sidelines he had with the injury, with the way this G1 is going, again, I think with heavyweights, you've got to wait until the G1 is done. But certainly looking good.
Like, I don't know if I'm giving him the prize, but he might be in the mix. And that's saying something. And I don't think that's a preposterous statement either. Like, I feel like, again, you're right. G1, we got to wait for this thing to play out. And there's plenty more opportunity for him to make the case for that. But like you look at this year he's had. Like, he's had the moments. Like, he's had a lot of what we love. Like, I would not be shocked to see him be in the mix for Wrestler of the Year, which is, again, if I told you this 3 years ago, I think everyone would laugh me right off this fucking microphone. But I think that's a conversation we can have this year, which is fucking awesome.
Just looking down my list for B block, this is just going to be me saying that everyone's great. Let's talk about Yuya Uemura, who's Yuya's on 4 points, and again, a lot of people placing him on Fraudwatch and very doubtful of what he's produced so far. But his, as cliche as it is, his babyface fundamentals are absolutely impeccable, and it's refreshing to see him in singles matches that aren't against Shingo, Great Okan, or Suji, because those are the only guys he's wrestled in singles matches since he's come back from excursion. And I think we're starting to see the benefits of him wrestling a more traditional babyface style when he's against a more traditional heel like Finlay, because I thought the dynamics and the chemistry between them was excellent. It was a really, really great match there. And I still stand by my early take of him being the chosen one. I think he's brilliant, and his potential is very, very, very high, and just incredibly dynamic, classic babyface. Just needs to get more reps in against a wider variety of opponents to kind of flesh out his game. And he's adding more moves to his arsenal. He's up the intensity. The crowd are starting to get invested in him. We're hearing some Yuya chants, and we're seeing some very smooth, very creative closing sequences. And he's mixing it up as well. Like, we saw the GTR counted into backside and the deadbolt. The match he had against Goto was fantastic as well. He's got Takeshita next in a main event, awesome. And very, very excited for that one. And then Jeff Cobb after that. We're cooking. Loving Yuya. How are we feeling about Yuya?
He's my guy. Like, I'm buying all of it. Get me in on the ground floor. If everyone's selling, I'm buying them. I'll take them, because to me, he's got the most upside. Oh, those two matches. I mean, that's going to tell a big story in a lot of people's mind. Like, those two matches have the potential to be really fucking good. And I will be holding my breath, hoping that it happens, because, yeah, if I'm like,
if he beats Takeshita, if he's the, like, let's say he's the first guy to pin Takeshita in this G1, like, he could be a made man after that. That would do so much for him.
That's the future right there. We talked a little bit about Gabe and Shooter. Come on. That's the future. Like, that's where I'm putting my money. Like, seriously, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, fucking, let's just say 2 years from now, like, that feud, like, two guys, young, like, one who's hasn't even hit his peak, but is, he's in that neighborhood. He's just fucking circling the block. And then another guy who's young, learning as he goes, looks the part, feels the part. Come on, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, that's the shit I'm looking forward to. 1,000%. So, yep, give me all the stonks. Give me all the stonks. I'm buying them all.
Yeah, we have Konosuke Takeshita, who's also unbeaten on 4 points, and just the way they're setting him up and establish him is so good. Like, he's got this superstar aura and charisma and confidence. Like, he's an absolute stud. I love him. I think he's so good. It's just the snap on his elbow, his power moves, just his swagger. Like, that moment in the Jeff Cobb match was a fucking great match, by the way, when he did the superplex and the ref took a bump.
Yeah.
Flying off the mat and the camera's shaking up and down. Just brilliant. And just, they've set him up brilliantly as this outsider ace that the New Japan regulars are all going to be trying to take down. So he's got Yuya next in a main event. That's going to be brilliant. And he's got Henare after that. And hopefully they're going to be up to beat the crap out of each other. So, yeah, this is everything that I'd hoped for from Takeshita. I thought the Tsuji match was excellent, really sort of high-end stuff, absolutely delivered for me. And the Cobb match, that's like classic G1, isn't it? Where you get a match on the undercards that goes, I don't know how long it went, like 10 minutes or something, and just absolutely fucked. Absolutely great.
Yeah, I mean, he's a stud. Like, I don't know. Like, somebody fucking give him the blank check and let him fill in the zeros. Just can like, it's right there for you. New Japan, it's right there for you. He's right in front of you. Lock him in. You mean to tell me he wouldn't get a fucking boner being a big star with New Japan? Like, come on, really? He would. I can't imagine him not being like, all right, I can see me putting up shop for 2 years, 3 years, whatever. And again, the future feuds. He's young. He's not 40. He's got so much to go with just learning even more subtle things. Like, yeah, look, I'm not going to sit here and fucking pull down my pants and fucking beat off, but I'm that close, man. Like, to me, he screams the future, and I don't know where he is contractually. I don't even think he has an AEW contract. I don't think he does. I could be dead wrong. So if somebody has that, by all means.
I think he does. I've heard that he does, and that I think there's like a year or close to a year left on it.
Well, we could figure fucking something out. Well, hey, listen, Flyers just signed this kid, 19 years old. We didn't expect him. We signed him from a Russian team. And we got really lucky getting him in the draft, and but we didn't expect to see him in 3 years, right? Because he had a contract with St. Petersburg in Russia. I've
been there.
St. Petersburg, yeah. Oh, really? Was it nice?
Oh, yeah, it was. One thing I recall about it is we went close to their summer, so like midnight, 1 a.m. It's still very bright outside. But,
why'd you have to go there? Can I ask?
I studied Russian
really
at GCSE level in secondary school. So yeah, we had a school trip which wouldn't be able to do that anymore. The first leg of the trip, we went to Kiev. So we spent some time in Ukraine and then got a train from Ukraine to Moscow. So crossed the border there and then Moscow to St. Petersburg. But
I didn't know that. I didn't know you
won't be doing
I
that.
didn't know you studied. I really didn't know that. Wow, that's pretty wild. That's cool. I mean, seriously, how many people listening to this fucking dumb show have been there? Anyway, my point is that we didn't expect to see him in 3 years. He just had a press conference today that I went to this morning. I snuck out from work. And he's here. And everyone's excited. And everyone's like, holy fuck, I can't believe it. So stranger things have happened. Come on, Tony Khan. Let him out of his fucking contract. You don't want him. We want him. But yeah, he's awesome. I'm digging it. Buying all the stonks.
Jeff Cobb, 2 points. He is obviously, as the TV title champion, the sub 50-minute guy. That's what he's priding himself on. And loving him as well in this tournament. He's shown more of a mean streak. Just staggering improvements if you compare like his first G1. Just year-on-year improvements. It's all killer, no filler with Jeff Cobb. There's no wasted moments. There's no, plodding control segments. He will push the boat out for ambitious spots. Like, he's busting out poison ranas in these matches. Like, for me, Jeff Cobb, minute for minute, he is the most entertaining wrestler here.
Wow.
He's got Ren Narita next, which is quite an interesting one, and Yuya after that, which I can't wait. That's going to be brilliant. But I'm very, very impressed with Jeff Cobb, who's not been in the ring for very long, but has really maximized his time against Goto and Takeshita.
Without question, the most underrated guy on the roster. How about that? Without question. Like, if he doesn't win by a landslide, most unappreciated, whatever the fuck our category is, I'd be shocked. Because to me, he's just a guy that delivers constantly and consistently. And, like, I don't think he gets the flowers he deserves. I really don't. Like, what a sweet spot for him with that TV title is like, just like, that is like so great for him. Just because he can just do his shit and squeeze it in. Again, no filler. Again, this doesn't play a factor in G1 matches, mind you. But again, this is not his first rodeo. He's awesome. He's a guy that you want in G1, and I know this seems like so fucking cliche, dumb pro wrestling talk, but god damn, how does a guy that fucking big move like that? Seriously, how is that even physically possible? He's a stud. He is truly one of the most underrated guys on that roster, and I'm glad to a certain degree New Japan kind of fucking recognize that to a certain degree, and give him something to play with, that TV title, even though TV titles, who knows. But when you look back, there hasn't been a ton of filler on that belt. I mean, Matt Riddle aside, there hasn't really been a lot of filler on that title. I told you before, I really like that title. That might be my favorite fucking belt in the promotion. But he's great. Jeff Cobb, buying all the stonks.
Oleg Boltin,
Looking
2 points.
good.
So he picked up a surprising win as well off the first match in the tournament. He's got new gear. He's got a new theme song. Fantastic. Repping the Kazakh flag, I believe it is. And just waiting to see. He looks the part and he's got all the credentials with his backgrounds, but does he have that monster in him? And yes, he does. I can conclusively say he has got that monster in him and just massive potential. Like he could be a future star in this company if they play their cards right. And it's great to see the company getting behind him and getting points in his first win. And not only that, but also the next match out against Henare. We know Henare is a bit of a nutty guy, and the fact that he was happy to go out there and have that Henare style match and let Henare just beat the piss out of him for our entertainment is excellent stuff. So I'm very excited to see next two matches. Well, particularly the next one against Goto, because that's a bit of a coin flip in terms of which way that goes. And I'm interested to see how many points Oleg manages to accumulate. But, the fact that he got that win on the first night against Ren Narita was massive and big surprise for me. So, how are we thinking about Bars? That's his new nickname, isn't it? Oleg Boltin.
I love the new gear, quite frankly. He's one of the main reasons why I'm so excited about like what is in store for New Japan. Like it would be very easy to have guys just be kind of the same but interchangeable. And where we are now is that we have all this talent that's kind of at a certain level that's looking to kind of climb the rungs, so to speak, but they all feel very different in many regards. Like, and he leans into that now. And yeah, I mean, nobody expected him to be a guy with 6 points at this point, and nor should he. Get better, get reps, get in the ring with a whole host of different styles and work it out. Work your style into what they bring to a match. That's all I'm looking for. Like, I just want to see that. I don't give a fuck about points. I give a fuck about, okay, tonight you're working David Finlay. All right, let's see what you got. All right, tonight you're working Hiroki Goto. Let's see what you got. Like, that's the kind of shit that when I hone in on him, and he's got the look. Like, he really does. Like, he has a pro wrestler look and an aura that is only going to get better and more developed, but I feel like he already has it. That, like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, he's not just this fucking standard pro wrestler. Like, there is a little sandpaper, and there is a little, all these things will develop in time, mind you. Yeah, I'm all in on him too, dude. You're right, B Block. I'm just fucking like throwing every shred of a flower I can at B Block.
Question here. Two questions. Louis says, Boltin Oleg debuted no longer as a young lion. A new star is born. Are you guys a bit scared of how New Japan will push him? Will he stay strongly booked, or will we see him settle somewhere in the mid-card? Blue Yeti Mike says, will Boltin Oleg get another shot at the TV title? With the confident moves that New Japan have made over the last few weeks, I'm not as scared as I have been about how they're going to handle it. I think they know what they've got, and I thought the way that they set out this G1 Climax in putting the young guys forward and seeing what we've got, I don't have that fear that a guy like Oleg Boltin is going to get wasted, because they took a very confident move to put him in the G1 in the first place and not send him out on excursion. And to me, that speaks volumes about the quality and the talent that they recognise they've got with him. He's a real blue chip prospect. So whether that's a TV title, I'm not sure. I mean, he's already a never six-man champion, lest we forget. But yeah, can you maybe project where you see Oleg in over the next 6 months, 12 months?
I mean, look, I'm confident that New Japan, just like you said, knows what they have. I mean, 6 months from now, it's probably close to where he's at right now. Like, I wouldn't expect him to walk away with a singles title in the next 6 months. Next year, next two. All right, let's put it this way. Even though they know what they have, like the idea of hot-shotting him is not going to happen. And the idea of this being anything but the slow burn that New Japan is addicted to, I wouldn't expect anything else. Like I said, I'm not too concerned with titles at this point. I'm not too concerned about trophies at this point. I'm more concerned with get your reps in, get that, because we talk a lot about like Shota, and we talk a lot about Ren Narita, and we talk a lot about all these other guys, and sometimes I feel like he gets lost in the mix. Get the reps, get different styles, see where you fit in with that, and just get better at that. That's what this G1 is all about. He like, to me, he's already won. The company showed commitment by putting him in. He's going to lose more than he's going to win. Totally fine with that. I want to see him compared to day one of G1 to last night of G1 and track that progression.
Go to Suji. He's also on 2 points. And just the more I watch him, he might just be the guy. He might be the guy. He might win this whole damn thing. He might do it. He might be the first New Japan Cup and G1 winner in the same year. It would not shock me if they went all out, because like Takeshita, he has got the aura, he's got the charisma, the fans love him. I don't know if you saw that documentary they did about him, following him, going to his old school and meeting up with his old friends. That was fantastic and really sort of humanized him as well, but showed the confidence that he has in his own ability and his future. I do still think he's got some cardio issues, but he's improving at the connective tissue between the big moves. And I still think that's the thing he needs to be working on in this G1. So it's good that they're putting him in these spots where he is going to have to work longer so he can improve that, because that's the only way he's going to get better. He's not just going to magically improve it without being given the opportunity to do so. The match against Takeshita, I said, was brilliant. Like, that showed to me big improvements from even a couple of months ago. And I do think that's a win that he will get back later in this tournament. I've said that at the start, and I'm saying that again now. I think they will meet again, and I think Tsuji is going to be the winner when they meet each other, whether that's the semi-finals or the block finals. They will see each other again. And next, he has El Phantasmo and Hiroki Goto in a main event rematch of the New Japan Cup final.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, those are nice tests. He's the guy, right? Like, let's stop fucking dancing around. He's the guy. Like to me, without question, right? And I will say this, even though we were talking about, hey, get reps in and get, just get ring time in and all that stuff. You could see the level of that, right? There's a big difference between getting main event ring time and, hey, second match, third match, etc. He's the guy. I don't think anybody can turn a blind eye to that. He is the guy that New Japan Pro Wrestling is hitching their fucking wagon to. At least it seems in the short term, right? When it comes to the newer faces. They have themselves a guy that they can build around for a long time. Like, if you asked me that question of where do you see him in a year or two, like gold. You know what I mean? And big spots, right? Trust me, there is a big difference between, hey, I'm working the third match and I'm working the main event. Like, there's the responsibility that's there for not only drawing a house or, that's important, don't get me wrong, but just being that face of the company, right? Like, the more main events you're in, you're a face of the company. And once again, getting reps in that position on a card, the confidence that the company has in him speaks volumes. So, yeah, these next two matches are going to be fun. Like, I'm actually it's El Phantasmo, the first one, right? Yeah, that one's
yeah,
going to be good.
El Phantasmo and then Goto after that.
I'm looking forward to El Phantasmo. Like, I really want him to shine as well. We'll see. But yeah, he's the guy. He's like, if you're looking for the future, you're looking at him.
Next is Ren Narita, who's on 2 points as well. And I'm more bullish on Ren than most people, I think. I think he's improved a ton since his last G1 outing. Obviously, change of gimmick, change of personality, but he just seems a lot more confident. And I think he's got very good instincts for getting the crowd invested and just basically being a little shit. And then taking the big bumps to pay it off and having that structure and timing for it to be a satisfying conclusion. And relatively light on the shenanigans. It's not like an evil match where you got a load of guys running in. It's little things like, him going after ELP's bad knee, that being the decisive moment of their match. And like the first match he had, I think he did all the right things to make Oleg Boltin look good. And after that match, everyone was talking about Oleg, but no one was talking about Ren. But I thought Ren did a really outstanding job in setting that up to make Oleg look fantastic. And in that second match, playing off of ELP and having those crowd dynamics to build sympathy for him and build up the fire for that ELP babyface comeback. That doesn't happen by itself. That doesn't happen without Ren being a little prick. So I want to throw some flowers at Ren because I think he's playing his role very well. He's not going to get all the love and the accolades of having the clean, exciting work rating matches in the main events, but I think for what he's being asked to do, he's doing a very good job.
Bing.
Yeah, he's talented.
Winner. That's exactly what I was going to say, and you're exactly right. Like, given the opportunities that the company has provided him, in this particular gimmick, I feel like he's making the most of it, right? I don't think it has anything to do with him. Talent, it's just not a lot of people's cup of tea, to be quite frank. But that doesn't mean that he's bad at doing it. Like, you could, like, bad at doing it would be, I don't know, fucking, I'm trying to think of like a guy who was in New Japan that you're just like, okay, he's playing the heel, and you're just like, what the fuck am I law? Like, Tongaloa, right? Right? And even then. But you get my point, right? And you said it perfectly. So, we're an hour and 48 minutes, and Joel wants to go to bed soon. So let's just leave it at that, shall we?
Yeah. He's got Jeff Cobb and Finlay next. The Finlay one's very interesting. I'll be very interested to see sort of in terms of the heel dynamics, how that one plays out and who takes the role as the de facto babyface. So Ruff says, how have you thought of the impeccable performances from President Evil and Vice President Ren Narita thus far? No, we're not giving Evil the love, but we are giving Ren his flowers, because we are cultured men of class on the Super J-Cast, and we recognise talent and good performances when we see it. El Phantasmo, 0 points. He is a sad man. You can write what you want about him. That's fine. I mean, the story's fine. I think he needs to be careful with the pining for Hikuleo thing. I don't think he has earned the right to lay that on too thick, because they weren't, they only existed as a tag team for less than a year. And there was a moment in that first match against, who was he wrestling? Was it Henare? Where he was, had his arm stretched out towards the corner, and on English commentary they were saying, oh, that's where Hikuleo would normally be. I don't think that was in the realm of like a ghost tag. Like, I didn't see that as, oh, he's trying to tag in a guy who's not there, because that would be preposterous. But he's got to be careful that this doesn't verge into NXT melodrama nonsense. To be fair, didn't do that at all against Ren Narita. The Ren Narita match I thought was really good. And ELP, I know this is not going to be popular because everyone likes to shit on ELP, but I still think he's good. I still think he's got a really strong crowd connection. That's almost inexplicable at this point, given his booking, but still valuable. His work is good. I would like to see a narrative payoff and some kind of sign that the company care, because if I continue to get the impression that the company don't care about him, then why should I care about him? Like, why not just have Taichi or Yoshihashi in there? Because it will, serve a similar, if not superior purpose. But yeah, I thought the Red match was very good. We saw the green shoots of the ELP redemption there. I thought he did very good selling of the knee, which was an injury that cost him in the end. And I'm glad that he didn't win, because it would be too early for that. So I think they're, this is a slow cooking story with him. He was absolute dog shit on commentary. Let's not do that again, please. He's got Yota Tsuji and Oleg Boltin next. So a pair of very interesting opponents. I don't know if I see the redemption coming against either of those opponents. I don't think it should come against Tsuji, possibly against Oleg Boltin. But again, is there glory in him beating a newly sort of half-graduated young lion? Is that something you can hang his hat on and say, yay, I'm back? I don't know. But yeah, I am more sort of generously disposed towards El Phantasmo than most. But yeah, how are you feeling about ELP?
Disappointed. This gimmick, this thing of him being a depressed guy, I guess, is not for me. I can look in the mirror and fucking see that. You know what I mean? I don't want my pro. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck do I need to see that for? Just reminding me of my own shortcomings. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. To me, I don't like. I sit here and I tell you that it is really cool sometimes when you blur the lines of reality and pro wrestling. This is not a case of that for me. I really don't. I don't want my pro wrestlers to do that. Like, I want my pro wrestlers to be somewhat oblivious to that, in the sense of you're a professional athlete. You're there to win a title, and hey, everyone gets a little down in the dumps. Keep that backstage, because when you go through the curtain, you're supposed to be there to fucking make something of yourself, right? That's pro wrestling, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. And I don't know how I'm supposed to rally behind a guy who's sitting in the corner sulking because his fucking tag team partner is making more money than he is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's nothing for me. And I think, once again, the frustrating part is I'm not done with him. Like, I'm not ready to write him off. I know in everything under the sun that there's more there. And I don't know. I don't know. We've been asking for it for a long time. And I don't know if it will ever happen. Let's be very honest. I don't know if it will ever happen. So be sad. Play a guy who's sad. Do it. Have fun. I don't know. That's the best I got.
All right. Two left. We've got David Finlay, who's also on 0 points. And to me, he is my early tournament MVP. Ooh. He is quietly continuing to have a really, really good year that no one else is going to talk about, because he's not AJ Styles, he's not Kenny Omega, he's not Jay White. But I love that he's leaned back into his violent style rather than doing the Jay Light that I felt he was doing in last year's G1 Climax. Just things that he's doing now, like just fucking launching guys across the ring. Brilliant. Just ragdolling them in a stark, brutal manner, just power bombing the shit out of them. And he's also very good at those interstitial bits between the moves and the shit talking and all that. Really good at making his opponents look great and setting up those babyface comebacks. He takes great bumps as well. His execution is spot on. Like, technically, he is a superb wrestler. And a lot of really ambitious sequences, just all on point, flawlessly executed. He doesn't have the body, he hasn't hit the heights of his predecessors in terms of big Dave Meltzer, critically acclaimed matches. But I urge you, let's enjoy the Dave Finlay we have instead of comparing him unfavorably to previous Bullet Club leaders, because he's really fucking good. Both the matches I think he's had so far, I thought he made Yuya look like a star. I thought the Tsuji match was excellent as well. He's unselfish, staring at the lights with both of them. He's got Henare next, which is going to be really interesting, and Ren after that, which also fascinating match. But I'm loving David Finlay so
far. He's putting it all together. It's happening, and you could see it. Like this year specifically, the confidence that it seems like he's found, and how he's made this his own, and he's not trying to be as the great Joe Lanza would say, a dollar store version of all the names that you mentioned before. I mean, look, there's no reason for us to be comparing him and or Bullet Club in 2024 to all those other people. Like, I just don't. Like, I don't even think it's the same fucking thing, and if you're pining for like Bullet Club being this dominant force, I'm sure you shed some tears, when NWO started to get a little watered down. It's just, he's a guy that we're all going to be talking about, I think, at the end of the year. How about that? That where, we have to give some consideration to him. And the year that he's had. It's, again, nothing's going to knock your socks off. Nothing's going to be, this 952 star match. But consistency, dependability, really good fucking solid heel. And yeah, you're right. I like it when he leans into, you know what, I'm just going to kick you in the fucking teeth. And I've had enough. Like, that's the David Finlay I think we all want. And yeah, I think he's had a, outstanding year and a solid G1. I got no problem with him so far.
And final person to discuss, Hiroki Goto, who is on 0 points as well. And a few eyebrows raised about his inclusion, given some of the other people that were left out. But if he can keep doing what he's doing, if he can stay fit and healthy and just have like a 7-minute banger each night, then he's justified his spot. Like, he's here to help the younger guys. And he absolutely did that against Yuya. I thought the Yuya match was great. He brought the physicality and met Jeff Cobb in the ring and had the Jeff Cobb kind of match we want to see. So that was all great. He's got Oleg Boltin next. So again, that's going to be mission statement. More of the same, please. Yota Tsuji after that in a main event. So he's going to have to, up it. But again, we've seen him do that in the New Japan Cup final against Tsuji. And he delivered massively there. So I was a little bit unsure about his inclusion, but he's justified it for me so far, even after just 2 matches.
Yeah, he's filling a nice role of a guy who's got a big enough name, enough miles on him and enough years to help people along and still have great matches. Like that's a great guy to have in the middle of the pack, right? Or even in the lower half of the pack. Like that's a solid hand in what you have. And let's be very truthful here. That's what he's been the entire career. Like he's been an absolutely stud of a helping hand. He's never going to be the guy. He'll be close. I mean, he held that Intercontinental title for a little bit, tag titles and all of that. Solid.
It's just nice not seeing him wrestling the same guys over and over again. Like it just seemed that every year was wrestling Yano and Tanahashi and Zack. So it's good to see him in there against some fresh opponents.
No doubt. And again, give him a tap on the shoulder. He's a guy who can still go, but maybe we don't need him to do that as much anymore. 7-minute bangers, I'm all about it. Let's go. And so I'll buy some fucking stock. What do you think of that? I'll buy some fucking Hiroki Goto stock. No, by all means.
Right then with you. Okay, last question. Then David Bentley Fart says, stand-up performer so far and biggest disappointment. Stand-up performer for me, David Finlay. Biggest disappointment. That's tricky because I don't think anyone has been terrible. I suppose I have to say Naito.
I would go biggest. Is it surprise we're looking for?
Stand-up performer and biggest disappointment.
Zach has been a standout for me, so I'll go that route. And so, I'll just leave it at Zach. Disappointment, Shota, absolutely. Like I'm having serious doubts, and I know we said we opened the show with, hey, let's not read anything. And working at the Fraudwatch. He's my guy. He's leading the charge on that one. So we'll see. A lot of stuff still left to go to see, but yep, I'll be keeping my eye on that one.
All right, see you next week, everyone.
Hey now, it's Mike Gilbert, host of the Mike and JD Show, right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Join JD by God Oliva and myself every Thursday night live on the Voices of Wrestling YouTube channel at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we stay up all night discussing all the hottest stories in professional wrestling. You can also check us out right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting feed, or you can subscribe to the Mike and JD Show feed. Now, enjoy the show.
Brace yourself for something fuel-nominal. Unleaded 88 is the clear fuel choice. It's cheaper, cleaner, and greener. And it's grown by Iowa corn farmers. Now that's totally worth the hype. So pump it up with Unleaded 88.